Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shawna Khalafi. The Diddy docu-series has debuted on Netflix this week. It's called Sean Combs: The Reckoning, and the legal battle over it has already begun. We're joined now live by Dominic Patten, the executive editor for Deadline.com. Thank you so much for being here, Dominic.
Thank you for having me.
So you covered the entire Diddy trial, and you're now covering the aftermath of this docuseries that has come out on Netflix. We know that Diddy's lawyers sent a cease and desist to Netflix. Can you tell us what you know about that?
Well, they sent that letter actually the day before the series was supposed to debut. The series debuted, the four-part series, executive produced by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, debuted on December 2nd. All four parts, of course, because this is Netflix, and they put them all up at once. On December 1st, lawyers for Sean Combs sent a cease and desist letter basically saying, don't put this on. You can't put this on. You're using footage that doesn't belong to you, which is some of the footage we see of him in the film, which is stark and remarkable. Secondly, they also said to him, what you're showing is wrong. It's false. We deny it. We deny it. We deny it. And that they accused Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos of basically doing what they called a corporate retaliation, in quotes, against Sean Combs because he supposedly didn't agree to make a documentary with them a few years ago. So he, Ted Sarandos, supposedly got 50 Cent, who's a long-term rival of Sean Combs, involved in this. Now, this is all drama and conjecture, and Sean Combs has sent out a zillion letters like this over the years since all these accusations, dozens and dozens and dozens, and dozens of which are still left to be gone through the courts, even though this criminal case is now over for the most part, though they are appealing it. So this legal threat jumps on the back of many, many others. Whether or not they go through with it, the last they said to us earlier this week was that they were assessing their options now they had actually seen the docuseries. So point being taken, they hadn't actually even seen it when they sent the cease and desist letter.
And after that cease and desist was sent, we are now hearing that Netflix has put out a response to that cease and desist. Part of what they're saying is that people were not paid to make this docuseries. How does that play in here, and what was Netflix's response to this?
Well, I think in a lot of ways, what response is that they were incredibly worried that this was going to turn into something bigger, and they basically said, "We didn't do anything illegal. We have all of our ducks in a row. We got a hold of this footage legally. We have all the copyrights to it, and there's been nothing done here." They said very blatantly, "This is not a hit job," which is something Sean Combs and his lawyers had accused them of. So their response is, the show's on. It's the #1 TV show on Netflix in the domestic United States. We'll see what international is early next week because it takes them a few days to get that data ready. I'm sure it's going to do very, very well up there with Stranger Things 5. So Netflix, I think, are feeling pretty good about this. This is a documentary that has attracted a lot of attention in positive and negative ways and a lot of discussion. I would say, just as someone who covered the trial, it's a shame for the prosecution, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, that they didn't have this footage that Netflix had when they were trying to get Sean Combs on the sex trafficking and RICO charges. The jury rejected those charges. In fact, in the documentary series, 2 jurors talk about why they rejected those charges. Specifically, Sean Combs was eventually looking at life behind bars, 56-year-old man. He now only got 4 years from time served. He'll be out in 2008 on the lesser charge of transportation for prostitution. Ultimately, what's going to happen here is that this is going to go on and on and on. He's also got his appeal fast-tracked because, to be honest, the way the wheels of justice move in this country, he could be out of jail before his appeal is actually fully heard. So we're going to see a lot more of Sean Combs in court with Netflix or without.
And we also know that this docu-series was executive produced by 50 Cent. He's been outspoken about, like you said, that footage that was unseen before this docu-series came out. What exactly is 50 Cent's role here, and what can you tell us about his relationship with Diddy?
Well, his role has been as an executive producer. Now, Netflix have said very, very strongly he did not have creative control. This was not a personal beef between the two of them. He was not doing this to troll Sean Combs. Now, 50 has been trolling Sean Combs relentlessly, and he's been doing it for a long, long time. But he's also been doing, in fact, he was probably one of the factors in why Donald Trump ultimately has not so far given Sean Combs a pardon. But at the same time, he's not wrong. A lot of people in the hip hop community did not speak out about this. He did. He spoke out about the crimes that Sean Combs was claimed to have committed. He spoke out for what he knew from personal knowledge and also from what he heard about it. And to be honest, in many ways, for many people that I've spoken to, his name being a part of this Netflix documentary adds a degree of credibility and authenticity. A lot of times these films are made by people who don't really know the culture and therefore don't know the nuance. That was not the case here. We will see what happens next. There's been talk, rumors that there'll be a part two, but Netflix doesn't seem to indicate that they're going there.
And from your perspective, what do you see coming about from this legal fight that has now ensued from the docu-series being put out? A lot of eyes on it, of course, on Netflix right now. So there's been some back and forth, the cease and desist. Now Netflix's response. What do you think is next?
Oh, I think Sean Combs' lawyers and his team are definitely thinking about a lawsuit. I think they're definitely thinking about a lawsuit insofar as in the particulars of this documentary series. But I think they're also looking at it in the big picture. He has an appeal on his criminal charges that will be fast tracked and be dealt with probably sometime next spring. He has, as I said earlier, and you mentioned too, dozens and dozens and dozens of civil cases for sexual assault, drugging, violence, and many, many other things. So this all plays into that. I think if he can find a way to kind of distract from one to the other, that would play up for him. It can also perhaps be of not benefit in terms of potential being a hindrance to his appeal. So there's lots of different ways this can play out. But I definitely get the feeling from sources I've talked to that the lawyers on his side are very much thinking of taking this to another level.
All right, Dominic Patten, executive editor for Deadline.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We will continue to stay on this as anything new comes up. Thank you so much for your time.